Tiger fans, what's going on, guys? First things first, I need to apologize for being a day late on this video. You guys know I'm the last couple years since I've been back making these consistently again. I'm pretty much like clockwork every Sunday night. After the conclusion of the Tigers game, either a night game or a day game, I have these banged out to talk about the week that was. With the rain out yesterday with the San Francisco Giants, I was going to try to bang this out before the Guardians game today. That game was postponed for the better, actually, because this gives me a chance to catch up. So I apologize for that. This week, we'll be back on Sundays. So, this week, I think we can actually have a few positive things to talk about for this past week. So, this past week was a bit of a crazy one in Tigerland because I kind of think we're starting to see, like, a little crack in the door wall. You know, it's a little tiny beacon of light just beaming through the very crack of a door wall here in a dark room where we're filled with the last 7 years of torture and our thoughts of losing seasons, and I don't need to explain the torture that it's been to be a Tigers fan the last almost decade. Anyways, but this past week, I think you could kind of see some of the vision and some of what this team could be. Whether was Nick Maton's play, him really breaking out, some of the way Hinch ran the bullpen, some of the pieces you could kind of see falling into place, and the at-bats this team has taken. Now, this past week, it was the Blue Jays and the Giants the Tigers played. The Blue Jays series, the Tigers go up there after Toronto opened up their freshly renovated Rogers Center. And the Tigers' first game come out, and they take a 3-0 lead. Kerry Carpenter should have had 2 home runs this game. Kevin Kiermaier freaking robs them once. The second one, it was like literally .399 at the warning track. But Nick Maton hits a homer. They have Alek Manoah on the ropes twice. They had the bases loaded, no one out after they scored 3 runs, and they didn't do anything. So you're thinking, well, after the past series of, how bad they got their ass beat after just getting swept, this is sick. They finally put some at-bats together. Yeah, well, no. The Blue Jays come back and scored 9 unanswered runs this game. I had to turn it off in the 7th inning, or in the 8th inning, when Alejandro Kirk hit a 3-run shot to make it 9-3. After a game that they had so many left on base and so many opportunities to absolutely destroy Alek Manoah, who's off to a terrible start this year. Even though he's a beast of a pitcher, I still love him. And they squandered opportunities. And you're thinking, damn it, man. And the Tigers' losing streak was up to 5. And they just gotten swept. And you've seen, the at-bats were getting better. And you see them drawing walks. Manoah walked 5 guys. You see the at-bats getting better. You see them, being more patient, not chasing his stuff and making him work. And then for them to leave all those on base and then lose that game after scoring 3 runs quick, it was just very disheartening. And then the second game of the series, again, the Tigers are up 3-0. And this game had a lot of controversy because people were complaining that A.J. Hinch put Alex Langen in the 8th inning of this game and then put Trey Wingenter in for the 9th. Well, I actually didn't have a problem with this. And I think what a lot of people missed, and I wanted to discuss this today, what a lot of people missed was Hinch's idea and of why. So you got to understand that the Tigers at this point in time are on a 5-game losing streak. And the 8th inning can sometimes be even higher leverage than the 9th inning based off of what part of the order was up and based off of potential opportunities for runs to being scored off of that potential part of that part of the lineup. What I think Hinch was thinking is the Tigers hadn't had a lead that late in the game in a minute. They had lost 5 straight games. Get the 8th locked down. That way you go to the 9th with an opportunity to get 3 more outs to secure a game. You'll figure it out then. But sometimes that 8th inning is more important than the 9th inning just to give yourself a chance to win. And Wingenter comes out. And what a disaster it was. The dude, I think, threw 2 strikes the entire time. The Blue Jays quickly tie it. Chasen Shreve comes out and, mops up Wingenter's walks. I mean, he was missing by 10 feet. It was like watching Major League out there and watching Charlie Sheen Wild Thing throwing balls and hitting the mascots. It was horribly bad. And then Chasen Shreve comes out, mops up Wingenter's mess, and a lot of people were pissed. Like, well, I don't understand why Lang wasn't there. And you look at it this way: say it was reversed and flip flopped. Say you put Wingenter there in the 8th, and you blow the game. Then people are going to be pissed because it was over. You lost the lead in the 8th. You didn't get the hold, and you were done in the 9th. Romano's going to come out and lock you down 1-2-3. Well, at least if you put Lang there in the 8th, and the role wasn't reversed where Wingenter came out in the 9th like he did. He came out in the 8th and he blew it up. At least they had only 3 outs to go before they blew the lead versus 6 outs to go and they blew the lead. I think it sucks to lose, but I think leaving the taste in your mouth, it sucks a little less blowing it in the 9th than it does the 8th, because at least when you came out there in the 9th with an opportunity to get 3 more runs to win the game, you came out there with an opportunity to win the ball game. You were there. You're right at the precipice. You're right at the finish line. So I understood it. I didn't disagree with him bringing it out there because, like I said, you put him out there in the 8th, he blows it. He blows it. At least he was out there in the 9th, and you had an opportunity to get 3 more runs to score, or 3 more outs to win, and then you would have ended the losing streak. Such is not the case. Like I said, he came out. Jose Cisnero comes out. It was like pretty much automatic. 1 pitch. The Blue Jays again walk off the Tigers, and 6-game skid. Not looking great. And you're just thinking, are the Tigers ever going to win again? I mean, you look at it. They were swept twice already in the first 3 series, and now they're on a 6-game losing streak, about to be swept for the 3rd time. Luckily, they were able to salvage the last game of this series in Toronto before coming home to face San Francisco and take 1 and stop the losing streak. Well, the 2 games with San Francisco is kind of like the whole thing for this video. I wanted to talk about, maybe there is a little bit of a crack of light coming through the door for what we've seen. I mean, if you look for the bats for Toronto, yeah, they lost 2 of 3, but they had leads in all 3 games of that series against a really tough opponent. The at-bats by Kerry Carpenter the last week have been absolutely outstanding. I mean, legitimately, this guy could have 5 home runs if it wasn't, for Kevin Kiermaier and everything else. He's been beating the shit out of the ball. Nick Maton, who really wasn't really even the centerpiece of the deal. It was Matt Vierling. I think you can really feel that his energy is already being felt. If you go, I don't know how many of these guys you guys follow on Instagram, but if you go on Instagram and some of these Tiger players you follow, and you see how many guys are posting his walk-off home run that he had in the 2nd game of the Giants series. I mean, it's a lot. You always see him up Miguel Cabrera's butt. Like, him and Miguel Cabrera are always together. It seems like him and Miguel Cabrera are talking a lot all the time. So I think you're kind of seeing, these guys starting to gel. You're starting to see all the walks that they're starting to draw. Now, the strikeouts and stuff, and we're gonna touch on this all here in a few minutes. The strikeouts and everything are there, and the offensive consistencies are there. But at least I think you could see the at-bat to at-bat, game-to-game consistency over the last 5 days has been much better. And I think you could see with guys like Maton really gelling and becoming a glue guy. And, Jonathan Scopes already got more walks now than he did in almost 90 plate appearances last year. And Javi Baez is in the same thing. He's got more walks now than he had in almost 90-some plate appearances at this point last year. So you're starting to see this commanding of both sides of the strike zone come into effect. Now, more so on the hitter side than the pitcher side, because the pitching has by far been the Achilles heel of this team, and it ain't even close. Spencer Turnbull pitched an absolute gem finally in that last game against the Blue Jays to help even salvage and get the winning streak or the losing streak over, and finally took a ball game. So there's like a little bit of light coming in, and you're starting to see some of these changes being implemented and actually take effect, which is nice. It still doesn't take away from how bad the performance has been overall, and being swept twice already, which is inexcusable. But you go into San Francisco, when San Francisco comes in, and both games the Tigers battle back from. Michael Lorenzen makes his debut for the Tigers, gives up 6 runs. I wasn't able to watch this game all the way through, but the Tigers were able to battle back. I think Kerry Carpenter hit a home run this game, and it was just an absolute gritty effort. And this is like a team where last year when the Tigers were down early, they were like, God, I want to say like 25 or 30 games under 500 when they didn't score first last year because the team was just so offensive inept and not able to really mount any comebacks when they were down early and down quick. And for them to come back and after being down 6 really fast, because Lorenzen's command was horrible. He got taken deep twice. Oh, that was the second game of the series. The first game of the series, I forget who started that game. But neither here nor there. The Tigers were down. Oh, it was Joey Wentz. Joey Wentz actually pitched a really good game. Estrada was really the only one that had any kind of success against Joey Wentz that game. But Joey Wentz pitched a really fabulous effort. And this game ended up going into extra innings, and the Tigers walked it off. And then the next game was the game that Michael Lorenzen pitched, and Nick Maton hit the 3-run shot, and it was which was on Saturday, which I didn't think because they were down 6 so fast, and basically for both days for the Tigers to be down, battle back, get back into the ball games like how they did. It was a positive sign, and it's something that we haven't seen. We've seen life to the offense. We've seen better, consistent at bats. Like Baez had a bonehead play, and I know a lot of people, if I didn't talk about this, can be asking about it. There was a play in Toronto where Baez thought he hit his first home run. He kind of hot dogged it out the box. He could have had a triple if he was running the whole time. Got the second, and then there was a ball hit to the outfield, and he thought it was 2 outs. He got thrown out. Well, AJ Hinch ended up benching him for it because he was talking about there was a play with Eric Haas and Matt Vierling where there was bonehead base running plays. And I think this is another thing too, and this was a perfect example of Hinch taking a guy, and I think this was the perfect guy for him to do it to. Baez is supposed to be the leader of the team. He's supposed to be the veteran guy that these young guys are supposed to look up to. But if you listen to like podcasts, like the Compound podcast, which I mention here all the time, Ian Happ and Zach Short have both talked about numerous times that Baez isn't really a vocal guy in the clubhouse. He's kind of a very keep to himself kind of dude. But, out on the field, even though he's been really bad the last couple of years, he's still really well respected by his teammates and the guys in the clubhouse. And, all you hear is AJ Hinch talk about how hard this guy works. But definitely not translating over the field much. But I think it was a positive thing, if that makes any kind of sense, because he was able to make it. If that was Matt Vierling getting pulled in that game, it means nothing. It means shit, because Matt Vierling has 10 games played as a Tiger. But the fact that it's Javier Baez, it's one of their highest paid players on this squad, and they made an example out of him, it just goes to show that Hinch is dead serious about, we can be a bad team, even though he's not explicitly going to say that. You can be a bad team, but there's still things you can do well and you should do correctly, which is the fundamentals of baseball. First off, if you hit a ball and you're not sure if it's going to go out, you shouldn't be hot dogging it out of the fucking batter's box. You should be running as hard as you can so you see that shit clear the fence, which he didn't do. Secondly, you already made yourself look like an asshole by not running out of the box, and you get thrown out because at third, thinking that there was already 2 outs in the inning. So it was actually a positive thing that Hinch did that, because it just showed everyone on this team, all these young guys and everything else, like, listen, we know we're not expected to do a bunch. We know we're not looked upon as a team that is going to compete. But if you're going to be better and you're going to start turning this around and not be a dog shit team forever, you got to do things correctly. You can be a bad team and still run the base as well and be good base runners and be heads up base runners. You can be a bad team and, still run out of the box hard on a ball that you smoke that goes 15 feet over the wall until you see the ball clear the wall. Flat out. And this was actually, I think, a perfect thing to happen to the Tigers because it set a precedent, it set an example, it showed that Hinch isn't fucking around, and that if you play like shit and these bonehead mistakes keep happening, you're not going to play straight up. And he took him out after Baez ripped a double, and this is after, Baez has got like 5 hits and 37 at-bats. So the next game he comes out against San Francisco, and really, the whole San Francisco series, I think he hit like almost 500 for the series for the 2 games. So it really lit a fire under his ass. And, you look at the way the Tigers, they came back and battled and won both of those games after being down. I think it says a lot about, what could be potentially there with this team and the scrappiness of it and the standard that AJ Hinch is trying to set, and he wants to set, So, overall this week, it's not nearly as negative and not nearly as doom and gloom as the last couple weeks where we've seen sweep and, a couple of bright lights against Houston. They did not play amazingly great in Toronto. The fact that they had leads in all those games, they only took one, that's bad. A good baseball team should have swept the Blue Jays, but the Tigers pitching has been so bad. Really bad. But the fact that, that should happen with Baez, Hinch is setting a precedent, Hinch is setting a standard, and it really lit a fire under Javi Baez's ass, and he's actually started to hit. And the fact that the Tigers, who, like I said, I think were like 30-something games under 500 when they didn't score first last year, were able to come out and win 2 games, and with the Nick Maton home run and the Miguel Cabrera walk-off, that's outstanding. And like I said, I think we're seeing these at-bats get better. The results aren't there tenfold yet. But you compare it to like something like Tampa, to like what we saw against San Francisco, or even in the Blue Jays. Like I said, they should have won those 3 games, and they blew 2 of them. But you still see the standard from at-bat to at-bat, from player to player, is a lot better, than it was 2 weeks ago when they were against Tampa and Boston. It looked way better with all these walks are drawing, and the fact, like I said, with Scope and Baez already having more walks now and like 30 plate appearances than he did in the 90. That's a positive. Now, what the Tigers need is they need to build on this, and they need to carry the momentum. First things first, Riley Green just needs to smack a ball. Flat out. He needs to smack a ball. He had a triple the other day off the left center field wall, and that's great. But he's falling in this trap again, and I don't understand this because, I watched a lot of Riley Green at-bats in the minor leagues, and you watch the Riley Green at-bats in the minor leagues to the pro at-bats, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Because if you look, the Riley Green in the minor leagues was a lot more calm at the plate. He always wasn't trying to jump the first pitch. He was willing to take pitches. He was willing to give up a strike if it was in a location of the zone that he wasn't looking particularly to hit, to try to get something maybe out over the plate or up out over the plate, because, that was his approach. That's what he was trying to do. We also haven't really seen him hit. I know he had that left center triple, but we haven't seen him try to hit balls to the left field. He's been really pull happy. We've seen a lot of ground balls to first base, a lot of ground balls to second, pop-ups, and a lot of strikeouts. And I think right now he just needs to get back in it. I think he just needs to hit a ball square one time and get that feeling, because he went through a stretch like this last year where he struck out like 90 times in like 140 plate appearances. And then he had that stretch where he just got hot, and he had that homer off of Shohei, and he had those big hits in Texas, and he really, really perked back up. And I think Riley just needs to settle back down. I don't know what it is and why he's just trying to jump the first pitch every single time now he's up at the plate. And it all started when Hinch put him in the leadoff spot. Because when Riley Green first came up last year, if you guys remember, he had 11 hits and 11 walks or he had 11 strikeouts and 11 walks when he first came up and in like his first 50 plate appearances. And then he got real jumpy. Hinch was like, okay, this kid's drawing his walks. He's taking, not expanding the zone. He's got a little bit of speed. Let's see what he can do at the top of the order. And it seemed like once he put him up at the top of the order, his plate appearances, his plate appearances changed, and his at bat. How am I trying to list? What he was looking to do, how he was looking to get on base in his at bats as a leadoff hitter versus where he was maybe, I don't know, sixth or second, it changed. Like all of a sudden he went from being patient and willing to take strikes to where if it's a first pitch, he's just chasing after it. I mean, I swear to God, for like a month, you were watching Riley Green lead off and guys were throwing it in the dirt. And it didn't matter. If it was the first pitch of the ball game, he was trying to jump people and hit like a home run because he thought it was going to be a quick, easy strike. But if you go and watch Riley Green and Toledo highlights, or if you were watching games when he was down there last year rehabbing, he was willing to take strike one, and he was willing to hit with 2 strikes. And his plate approach is just so much more different. It's like now he's so eager to jump that first pitch strike to try to do damage on a pitcher trying to get one over. But the thing is the league is adjusted to that, and the league isn't giving him pitches to try to get one over because the scouting report's out on him. Next time you see Riley Green up to bat, pay attention to that. Almost every first pitch that this guy's seeing is either up in the zone or down and away. They are just trying to make, because they know he'll expand. They know he's so aggressive. But if you go watch that first game up in the league when he was facing Taylor Hearn, a lot more teams were willing to throw him strikes in the strike zone first pitch to try to get ahead of him because they knew he would take pitches, they knew he would take close pitches, and they knew he was able to draw walks because he showed it in the minor leagues. He was able to draw walks. He showed in the minor leagues he had strong plate discipline, and he was able to take close pitches, and he was able to get on base, and he was able to draw walks. That was one thing. Like if he wasn't hitting, he was still getting on base. Now he's not hitting and he's not getting on base because he's so fucking over aggressive and so antsy trying to hit a 500-foot home run on every single first pitch. And he's not even leading off every single game anymore. And he's still really aggressive. I love Riley Green, and I have no doubt about that this kid's going to pull out of it. He just needs to hit one. But I don't know over the last almost year now what has happened to his plate approach because it is just not the same. He's so ultra aggressive and just trying to jump every first pitch he sees, and it's not even close, some of these pitches that they're giving him early in the counts. There's pitches up out of the zone and pitches away, and he's chasing every single. This guy is 0-2 so fast in almost every single count. I don't have the stats in front of me, obviously, but I would love to see over the last 3 months Riley Green has played how many times he's gotten to a 3-2 count. I want to know this season how many times Riley Green has gotten to a 3-2 count because I bet you it's not a lot, or a 3-1 count. Because I bet you it's not a lot. Because he's got so ultra aggressive and so swing happy, and his best ability, which was taking the ball the other way, he's not doing it. And I don't understand it because he's got the bat speed, he's got the bat to ball contact ability and bat to ball skills. And he's not utilizing it. He's just trying to pull side homer everything. And he's just fucking either striking out or grounding out to the first or second baseman. And I don't know if it's because he went through this swing philosophy change where he was trying to get more lift on the ball because he didn't want to ground out as much. He was talking about that in spring this year. But I don't get it, man. This kid's got an eye. This kid always walked in the minor leagues. And he showed it when he first got called up in the big leagues. But man, I don't get it. I don't know if he's scared to hit with 2 strikes now because the breaking stuff in the major leagues is so much better than the minor leagues, and he feels like he can't protect with 2 strikes. I don't know if he thinks that every pitch early in the count is better. I don't know. I don't get it, and he needs to figure out something. He needs to make the adjustment to the adjustment. essentially. And Spencer Torkelson, same thing, man. Like, when him and Riley hit those home runs in Houston, we thought, okay, well, here we go. Second series, already early home runs for each, and they were both bombs. And Torkelson again, we're seeing late on fastballs. I mean, missing fastballs right down the middle, and the pop ups in the to the infielders is becoming a thing again. He had an at bat the other day in extra innings where he struck out on 3 pitches, and one pitch. Another thing, Torkelson was always credited for his plate discipline, his ability to make contact. This fucking kid is swinging at so many sinkers and fastballs in off of the plate. I don't get it. I don't understand how you'll sit there, and I watched him strike out on a pitch right down the fucking dick the other day. And he just stood there and took it, yet he won't swing but he'll swing at fastballs that are 3 balls inside on him and on his hands. Or he swings at the ball up. That's way at his forehead. I don't understand it. There was an at bat the other day. I think it was extra innings. He struck out with the was a winning run at third or winning run at third. It was because it was the bottom of the 10th, and he struck out on 3 fucking pitches. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I don't understand how someone who had such good plate discipline and was able to draw walks, and he was doing that. He was drawing walks earlier in the season, or just even a couple weeks ago. He was drawing walks, and now he can't even do that. And his plate appearances, man, I don't know who it's like harder to watch right now, him or Riley. Because I'm telling you, pay close attention this week, guys. And I'm going to shut the fuck up here because this is almost a half-hour video. But I needed to talk about this because it's been driving me nuts. Fastballs on the inner third of the plate, Torkelson is just going crazy swinging at lately. Fastballs in and fastballs up. And I don't understand it. Because he's chasing those pitchers' pitches, and these pitches are really know that he's been really aggressive inside. He's trying to hit that because he hit sinkers well last year. So I think he's seeing balls in. He's like, oh, hell yeah, it's a sinker. But they're starting it more inside, instead of last year where, maybe they threw him a sinker in the middle and it was going to hit the inner third of the plate. No, now they're even busting him further inside. He's expanding his zone. He's chasing it. And now he's chasing it up a lot too, but taking balls right down the middle. And we're seeing him pop up to the infielders a bunch again, which goes to show you he's not on time and he's late. But there's still things I like that I'm seeing with both those guys. Torkelson's confidence doesn't look like it's rattled. The way he talks to the media, the way he's carrying himself, I think he understands there's just an adjustment to the adjustment that needs to be made. The league has already made another adjustment to him already early in the year, and he needs to readjust to the adjustment. Same thing with Riley. Last year Torkelson was like kind of timid and kind of shy, and just did his thing. This year it's like, I don't know. He's got his feet wet, and he understands failure, and he understands he's not gonna get hits every single time, and he's not gonna bat 1,000. But they got to do something because that's 2 extremely important pieces to the lineup that are pretty much dead weight right now. And both of their plate appearances have been really piss poor of late, especially Torkelson. Like I said the other day where he struck out on 3 straight pitches and 2 of them were balls on the inside that almost hit him in the fucking dick. And then Riley Green trying to jump every first pitch. I don't get it. And then, like Matt Vierling's cooled off, but, not everyone's going to click. The fact that, we've seen, like I said, scope and the walks in the lineup, increase and everything like that, we're starting to see a glimmer of hope, and we're starting to see a glimmer of the overall image that Scott Harris was trying to project the 2023 Detroit Tigers to be. Now, what that equals in their overall win total this season, hell, I have no idea. It could be 60 wins. It could be 73 wins. Either or which way, they're not going to be great. Either or which way, But this is what I was talking about in my earlier video to start the year, which was they can be bad, but we need to see some kind of progress with it being bad that shows, okay, all right, well, a couple of these contracts are going to fall off. And if they can find more of these players that fit their image and their build of what they want this team to be, maybe next year with the right moves and the right progression of some of these guys, there could be 80-something wins in this roster. Who knows? So anyways, I've talked long enough, but I had to get that off my chest. about those guys' plate appearances and just how bad they've been. And, I don't understand it. It's so perplexing that these guys who commanded the strike zone for their entire collegiate careers, really Riley since high school, Torkelson for forever, and all of a sudden, I don't know. It's just like it's gone. I don't know if like I said, it needs to be the adjustment to the adjustment, or it just is what it is. He's the kind of players that are going to be in the big leagues, where they just don't walk and they're very aggressive. I don't know. I don't get it. But at least we're seeing the team overall look better from an at-bat to at-bat standpoint. Pitching, they're lost. Pitching, they're still lost. This bullpen has shown very tiny flashes of being better. But, boy, that bullpen's still a dumpster fire. Anyways, I apologize for the length of this video. That's all I got for you guys today. I will be back Sunday to talk about this week that was. There's going to be a doubleheader tomorrow. Remember that, guys. It's a straight doubleheader with the Guardians. And, yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Go Tigers.